Hello, I'm Dr. Tara Palmatier of Shrink for Men, and in this video, I'll be discussing the stages of a relationship with a narcissist and triangulation. Okay. So you thought you'd finally met the woman or man of your dreams. Sure, they came on a little strong at first. The compliments seemed a bit excessive and even premature. Ignoring that nagging voice in your head, the relationship developed at a fast pace. Faster than most of your other relationships and friendships. At some point, perhaps you questioned their sincerity and instant adoration. Maybe you even had doubts about them, such as, is this person a psycho, or is it love at first sight? After all, how can someone really know you well enough after just a few weeks or just a few days? How can someone who barely knows you seriously love you in such a short amount of time and be willing to commit to you so quickly? The answers are they don't and they can't. You were being drugged with flattery or love bombed. A client once asked, well, come on, what guy wouldn't fall for a beautiful woman who says you're the most amazing man she's ever known and the best sex she's ever had? Actually, quite a lot of men and women don't fall for it. In fact, they become skeptical and concerned, especially if the compliments are way over the top and they're being pressured to make a fast commitment. For example, true story, going engagement ring shopping after only a week or wanting to move in together right away. Relationships with narcissists, borderlines, histrionics, psychopaths, whatever the DSM classification may be, begin in reverse. Meaning the relationship starts with a decadent dessert, and by the relationship's end, you're dumpster diving for the measliest scraps of emotional sustenance. A relationship between two emotionally mature individuals with boundaries and healthy senses of self develops steadily over time and builds up to dessert after pesky little things like friendship, intimacy, and trust have been established. Not so with narcissists and other emotional predators and con artists. They're like the stereotypical used car salesman or saleswomen of relationships. For example, well, hello there, Carl or Connie codependent. Do I have a deal for you today? Only someone as smart, savvy, sophisticated, cultured, traveled, intuitive, honest, loving, handsome, beautiful, sexy, talented, blah, 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 as you can see what a great opportunity this is. And because you're so special to me, I'm going to offer this deal to you and only you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Your life will never be the same if you hitch your wagon to my star. That part's usually true. Together, we'll create crazy works of genius. What do you mean it sounds too good to be true? I thought you were more intelligent than that. It's okay. I forgive you for doubting my motives. Now I'll just need you to sign here, here, and here, and don't worry about that. It's just the fine print. Yes, and the devil is in the details. Now, if an unscrupulous person slithered up to you at the local used car lot and laid it on nice and thick like that, wouldn't you reflexively raise an eyebrow? You'd wonder, and rightly so, if the salesperson was trying to unload shoddy goods for their own personal gain and at significant cost to you. No matter how shiny and attractively presented a narcissist might appear to be at first, under the hood, they're all lemons, and not the nice, plump, juicy lemons from which you can make lemonade. They're the hard kind that only yield a few drops of juice, even when using an industrial-grade juicer. It's a painful thing to accept once your narcissist reveals who they truly are. Seeing behind the mask may cause you to go into extreme denial. How else could you stay after that? If you don't understand the dynamics at play, it's difficult to comprehend how things deteriorated from the initial intense love fest you shared with your narcissist to being vilified and tossed away onto the scrap heap with your predecessors. It's actually pretty easy to grasp once you know how relationships with narcissists and borderlines begin, develop, and devolve. Abusive personalities repeat these patterns over and over again with each new target and relationship. There are 3 predictable relationship stages with most narcissists, borderlines, histrionics, and psychopaths, which are idealization, devaluation, and the discard. Eleanor Payson describes these extremely well in The Wizard of Oz and Other Narcissists. First, there's the idealization stage, in which you can do no wrong. You're unlike any other man or woman they've ever known. You're better, kinder, smarter, more talented, and more loving. Only you can truly understand the narcissist's pain and see into their misunderstood little black heart. You're her hero or his angel, not like all those past lovers who were so nasty and abusive to the perennial victim, Mr. or Ms. Narczilla. The idealization stage is when the love bombing occurs. Love bombing is a term I borrowed from the recruiting techniques used by cults. Love bombing typically only works on individuals who are vulnerable to it. If you want to read more about it, you can go to the shrinkformen.com index. I wrote a series of articles about the similarities between brainwashing techniques and abusive relationships, I think back in March of 2010. Predators like easy targets. If you're not easily charmed or manipulated, most predators will leave you alone. And what makes a person an easy target? There are a few things. First, family of origin issues that caused you to develop codependent traits such as an intense desire for approval, acceptance, a sense of belonging, and a fear of being alone. If you didn't get the love and validation you needed as a child from your parents, you probably still crave it as an adult, which is natural, and you seek it through intimate relationships. If you never learned how to provide these things for yourself, you're more likely susceptible to the superficial charm of narcissists and other abusers. Instead of thinking, whoa, this is too much too soon, when the love bombing begins, it feels like basking in the sunshine after a long, cold winter. You want to believe you finally met someone who sees you and all that you have to offer. The narcissist or borderline does see what you have to offer, a need to be needed, and a high threshold for abuse, and then sets about exploiting it and you. A second vulnerability is experiencing a recent loss, such as the death of a loved one, job termination, or some other significant life stressor. If you're in the throes of grief or a sudden transition, it could cause you to ignore important red flags that otherwise might have registered if you were in a stronger emotional state. The third vulnerability is possessing what I call the 3 Ns: nice, naive, and non-confrontational. Individually, these qualities increase your vulnerability to narcissistic abuse. Having all 3 of them multiplies the degree of risk and puts a bullseye on your forehead. It's nice to be nice, but don't confuse being nice with being a doormat. A certain childlike innocence is a good quality, but not if it blinds you to the fact that there are bad people in the world who will purposefully and maliciously deceive and hurt you. Not everyone has a good heart or a better nature deep down inside. Some people are fundamentally rotten to the core. There are rattlesnakes walking around in human suits. And finally, prepare to be bulldozed if you're conflict avoidant. Peacekeeping and appeasing aren't the same thing. Furthermore, it's often healthy and right that a tenuous peace not be maintained, especially if it means tolerating abuse and treachery. At the zenith of the idealization stage, you enjoy your time in La La Land, except every now and again a dark cloud blocks the sunshine. An inexplicable rage episode occurs out of nowhere. Inexplicable as it may be, the narcissist, or you, will explain it away, or just pretend like it never happened. Typically, you won't be the target of blame for your narcissist's first tantrums, rage outs, and pout outs. She or he will tell you they were triggered, I hate that word, by something you said or did that reminded them of their horrid old ex. Or the episode will be blamed on a mean boss, a mean coworker, or the mean next door neighbor who's suing your narcissist because he went onto the neighbor's property and cut down trees without permission. What's really happening with these initial infrequent incidences? The narcissist is testing your limits. In other words, how much of their garbage are you willing to tolerate? What and where are your boundaries? Will you defend and enforce your boundaries? Or will you capitulate to keep the peace and the narcissist love no matter the price, including your dignity? Eventually, the narcissist will stop blaming outsiders, for their bad behavior and start blaming you. This is when the devaluation stage begins. What goes up, like you being hoisted atop the narcissist pedestal, will eventually be torn down by the narcissist. Why? Because you disappointed them. You didn't provide an endless supply of love, adoration, and nurturing. You didn't make them an overnight success. You held them back all those years by providing a stable home life. You took askance with being raged at and called names. You began to see your narcissist more clearly and realistically. You wanted the love and support to be mutual in the relationship. Asking or expecting reciprocity from your narcissist is the kiss of death. She or he will occasionally give, but only if it makes them feel or look good to do so, and it always comes with a price. Narcissists don't give without the expectation of getting, and they expect to get more than they give. It's narcissist math. The narcissist may also begin to devalue you simply because they're bored. Stability is boring. Coziness, contentedness, comfort, boring, boring, boring. If the narcissist isn't distracting themselves with some drama, conflict, lawsuit, affair, self-aggrandizement, or swindle, they might actually have to look at and deal with themselves. Then they might just realize that they, and they alone, are the architects of their misery, and they can't have that. Therefore, if they're feeling bored or disappointed with life or themselves, someone needs to be blamed. Once the devaluation stage begins, the discard is inevitable. It may take a few months, years, or in some cases decades, but it will happen. There's no going back to the idealization stage once you've seen behind their mask and they're all too human feet of clay. No matter what empty promises and lies your narcissist tells you, you might get some love bombing in the form of a Hoover if she or he isn't quite ready to discard you, and that's usually because the next source of narcissistic supply hasn't been secured yet. Your narcissist may promise things will be better if only you do more, sacrifice more, give more, don't hold them accountable, or expect anything from them. If you're determined to make it work with your narcissist, despite all indications that it's time to jump out of the plane and pull the ripcord, you have a couple of options at your disposal to delay the inevitable. First, you must accept the narcissist for the severely emotionally handicapped and integrity-challenged person that they are. She or he isn't going to have an epiphany and suddenly become an insightful, soulful, decent human being that possesses empathy and a conscience. They've spent their entire adult lives avoiding just that. It's not going to happen. Second, you must also unflinchingly accept their abuse. And don't ever tell them that their behavior is abusive. Doing so makes the narcissist feel bad. And remember what happens when the narcissist or borderline feels bad about themselves. They blame someone else, i.e. you. Plus, labeling their behavior abusive means you're not accepting them for who they are. Get it? You might not get discarded right away if you tolerate the abuse and look the other way when your narcissist seeks fresh supply elsewhere. But there's no equal, mutual, healthy adult relationship to be had with this person. If you accept these conditions, please understand that your narcissist won't appreciate you or think, wow, husband, wife, boyfriend, or girlfriend must really love me to give me such free rein and accept me as I am. Quite the contrary, in fact. Your narcissist will have even less respect for you as you further degrade and humiliate yourself in order to maintain the relationship at any cost. For example, staying in the relationship while she or he openly conducts affairs or becomes physically violent. Your narcissist won't see you as loving and committed. This is when your narcissist will become more sadistic than you could ever imagine. Why? Because you've shown the narcissist there's no limit she or he can violate that will cause you to withdraw your love. Please don't do this to yourself. Take whatever shred of self-esteem you have left and get out. If you've no shared children or assets, go ghost. Complete radio silence. Don't take the bait and respond to angry text messages or feigned remorse. Narcissists and borderlines don't feel genuine remorse. They feel sorry for themselves once they finally reap the consequences of their bad behavior, but that's not the same as feeling remorse for having hurt others. As Rhett Butler said to Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, "You're like the thief who isn't the least bit sorry he stole, but is terribly, terribly sorry he's going to jail." But your narcissist seems really sincere when they say how much they miss you? Okay, there may be a grain of truth to that. However, it'd be more accurate to say that your narcissist misses the ease you brought to their life and the supply you provided. That's not love, and you deserve better. Continuing to engage with your ex-narcissist in any fashion allows them to continue to feed off of you. It's time for you to take your power back and resources for yourself. Let the narcissist siphon resources elsewhere, or heaven forbid, finally do for themselves. In the end, once a new source of supply, for example, butt kissing, financial support, novelty sex, someone who believes the narcissist's false self is the real self, has been secured, you will be discarded. New supply is just tastier, juicier, and more robust than old depleted supply who's seen behind the narcissist's mask. Whether you realize it or not, you've probably never been à deux in your relationship. Narcissists and borderlines triangulate. It's important to understand this because a narcissist typically won't discard until they have a new source of supply, a third party with which to replace the old supply. As the devaluation stage progresses, the narcissist seeks out and grooms fresh supply. And once they've found that person, that's it. Given that narcissists are insatiable, needy vortexes of suck, there's never enough attention, love, comfort, emotional breast milk, or any resource that they desire. Like an alcoholic who hides vodka bottles around the house, narcissists require backup emotional supply. In Cartman's drama triangle, there are three roles: the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. Two versions of the triangle exist: the narcissist version and the objective reality version. The narcissist sees her or himself as the victim. The person they're abusing and exploiting, the old supply, as their persecutor, and their new supply, the mistress or manstress, as their rescuer. In reality, the narcissist is the persecutor. The new supply is their enabler and accomplice, unwittingly or wittingly, and the old supply is the victim. At the beginning of your relationship with your narcissist, when you were the new supply / rescuer, you probably aided and abetted your narcissist in hurting your predecessor. You were once the hero or angel, and now you're the big old meanie who doesn't appreciate your narcissist anymore. The new supply is the answer to the narcissist's problems, just as you once were. Wash, rinse, repeat. You may be cast again in the role of rescuer if you're foolish and self-destructive enough to hang around and wait for your narcissist to become disappointed or bored with the current new supply. But remember, even if that happens, the narcissist will only become disappointed or bored with you again, and around you go. Just step out of it. And what about the new supply / rescuer? She or he is most likely another hapless codependent who sees your narcissist as a poor, downtrodden, unappreciated victim. Don't envy the new supply. The narcissist will do to them what the narcissist did to you. Alternately, the new supply / rescuer may also be another narcissist, borderline, or psychopath who saw your narcissist coming from light years away, and then mutual love bombing commenced. If the new supply is another disordered predator or conniver, the two of them will eventually cannibalize one another, in which case, maintain a safe distance and pop some popcorn. Or you can heal, move on with your life, and not look back. Okay, enjoy a little Schadenfreude, then move on and look back. And that concludes this video. If you found this information helpful, please visit my website, shrinkformen.com. That's shrink for men with the number 4. I also provide individual counseling and coaching. You can contact me at shrinkformen@gmail.com. And I will see you in the next video.